Welcome to Nightcap with B.Brown, where we have candid conversations over cocktails. Tonight, we'll be discussing the LGBTQ plus experience beyond the flag. And joining me in the conversation, I have members of the community. So we'll begin by having them introduce themselves. Guests, thank you. Welcome. I'm going to
Thank
ask you to
you.
state your name, share a little bit about yourself, and let the audience know how you identify.
Hey guys, my name is Natalie, also known as Nat Nat. I'm the co-owner of Island Girl Entertainment. My nationality is British Jamaican, so I was born in England, but my parents are Jamaican. Been in the United States for over 22 years. My educational background is an associate's in criminal justice and a bachelor's in business administration. And few hobbies I enjoy spending time with my family, especially the little ones, and also traveling. I don't identify myself as anything, to be honest with you. I'm just a woman that loves women.
Okay.
That's it.
Who we got next?
Go for it, Nate.
All right. Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me on the show, B. My name's Nick. I'm in Boston, Massachusetts. And right now, I'm a senior at UMass Boston. I'm about to graduate, y'all. Getting out of there.
Hey,
Hey.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. And my work usually is centered around Black LGBT health and holistic care and mental health. And particularly, I'm working for the visibility and advancement of care for Black trans people and non-binary people.
Hey everyone, my name is Keanna, also known as Key or Kiki. I am originally I'm raised in Boston. My background is of Guyanese descent. I am the owner of Keanna Couture, which is a women's fashion retail online boutique, and I am the owner of Island Girl Entertainment as well. I have a bachelor's in communications with a focus on video production, and I also have a master's in business administration with a focus on HR management and international business. Thanks for having me, B.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome. Also, if you have questions, put them in the comments. By the end of the show, we're going to answer one viewer's questions. And Nat, perfect segue since you said you don't identify. The first question was jumping into the acronym. I'm going to look at the paper because I don't need nobody coming after me from messing up anything. LGBTQIA plus. That's a lot. Do you feel as though it represents you, and do you see yourself reflected within the community?
I definitely see myself reflected in the community, but I just don't identify myself as anything only because I'm a woman that loves women. I'm a woman that loves, I can love a lesbian. I can potentially love a stud. I can potentially love just any kind of, women. I've been with men in the past. I don't consider myself bisexual because I know that I will not date a guy going on in the future. I don't do that label. I don't do the labeling stuff. And me and Keanna had a conversation about it the other night.
How'd that go?
Go ahead, Key.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy. The thing is, it's I do factor myself in that, the LGBTQ because it's representative of who I am and what I am, and I am a female that likes females, and that's just it.
But
And
what does that
and
represent you as, though? If you're a female that loves females, what are you? You
I
gonna say a
mean,
lesbian?
technically, right? I would be considered a lesbian, and a lesbian is defined as a woman who likes women.
I just don't do the labels. I
And
can't
that's
do it.
okay. Everybody's
It's
different.
either
Perfectly
you're
fine.
you're heterosexual or you're homosexual, and that's it. That's
And
it.
that's a beautiful outlook to have. But you have to understand that in this community, there's so many derivatives of that, breakdown. LGBT people are there's a variety of us within. And you know,
What's the breakdown in heterosexual community?
what
Go
happened?
ahead, Nick. You have something to say. Go ahead, Nick.
I can't speak for the heterosexual community because I'm not a part of it. Yo. But I can definitely say, yo, echo on what Keith said, yo, like there's so much like diversity within like the LGBTQ community and plus community. Like I don't, to be honest with you, like I don't like. I'm part of the plus part because like I see the T. I'm part of the trans umbrella as we would call it. But as far as sexual orientation, I'm pansexual. I'm an all gender loving person, but you don't see that part, and we don't talk about that part either. And also, there's like especially with men like loving other men, there's also a lot of stigma in our community, especially the Black community. And so like I think that's also hard. So like it's a whole bunch of plus over plus.
I agree.
Okay. So let's take it back to the beginning, right? The beginning of your journey.
Uh-oh. Did she freeze?
Yeah.
Come on.
Technical difficulties.
You want to talk about our journey? I mean, the show must go on.
The show has to go on. Sorry about the interruption, everyone. Let's see what's happening. Give it a moment.
So what's the sorry to cut you, but what's the you say the in the homosexual community there's the LGBT community, whatever, and heterosexual they're not labeled, so why do we have to be labeled? Can you answer that, Keanna?
Oh, you want me to answer that?
Oh, whoever.
I mean,
Keanna, whoever. Go ahead.
I'll go after.
Oh,
go ahead, Nick.
Go ahead, Nick. Go, Nick. Go.
Let me just jump in. Yeah, because I don't think necessarily. I think so. Here's the thing. I think movements come with labels.
Coming back.
Say it again. I hear you. Say it again.
No difficulty. We all still talking.
Yeah, we still talking. We talking.
Okay, thanks for holding it down. Well, part of the question where you on?
We're gonna come back to that, Nick. We're gonna come back to that.
Okay. So Nat just asked the question, why does like the LGBTQ plus community have to be labeled? Like heterosexual people don't have labels. And like in a way I feel where you're coming from. Like, sometimes labels like just put us in boxes. But like I feel like what I was saying like before, like movements come with labels. Like it's like though that like stamping like a name, like straight people don't go through what we go through. So
definitely
I think
not.
Therefore it comes with the pride and the label that comes with it. But when it comes to like labeling people as you're this because you like this person, you're this because you like that person, well then I can't really say it, because overall it's just be a total acceptance,
And I agree with total acceptance. I would prefer, no labels, because like I said, it's a lot to even try to keep track of. And I know people take offense to it when when you don't get it correct. And part of the reason why I wanted to do this was I wanted people to have an opportunity to ask the questions that they may feel they don't want to offend, because you don't know how to approach, right? So I agree. I agree with you actually with the no labels, but I didn't know if it was offensive to not
classify or not label.
Yeah. So I guess it's just a personal preference.
A part of a group that I have to be a label of. I'm not labeled. I'm Natalie. I'm a woman, and I just love women. And that's just
you don't want to. I'm sorry, you got to take that back real quick. You said you don't want to be a part of a group.
Well, I don't want to be labeled. Just labeled. I'm a woman. Like I said before, I'm a woman that loves women, and that's just it.
And that's completely understandable.
Extended on top of that.
That's completely understandable. I just think that when it comes to identities and things of that nature, you just have to take it back from where we came from and where we are today. because we weren't even recognized at one point, and we were, you know, frowned upon and things of that nature. So we are grouped differently. You know,
it's sad, but it's sad that we're grouped differently. You know,
it is, but you know,
it
it's the same
is.
as
You know,
it's the same as racism. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I look at it. You know, it's the same thing. Well, go ahead, B.
So let's
That
get
was
back
your
to
question.
Go
question
ahead,
about
What
your
was your
journey.
question,
I
girl?
don't want y'all to get to arguing amongst yourselves in the community, and I'm going to cause the controversy.
No, of course not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in terms of your journey and coming out, was that a hard experience for you?
Well, for me, it was definitely hard because I have Caribbean parents, and honestly, they don't play that shit. I'm being honest. I hid it for a long time, and honestly, recently, maybe 7 years ago, I had to come out to my parents because I was tired of hiding who I am. And it's up to them to accept me. If you do, you do. I had to realize if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. I mean, they don't accept it, but they love me, and that's all that matters to me, you know? My parents are my world. My mom, and especially my mom, she's my world. And as long as she loves me, I'm good with it.
Okay.
But it was definitely hard, and it took a long time for me to actually come out to my parents.
For myself, I don't know. I too come from a Caribbean background. Um, it's not something that I really hid, to be honest with you, because I kind of like had to go through life's journey to really determine and not make sure, but really determine like who I am. And when I finally came out, so to speak, to my mom was the first person that I actually came out to. And, you know, I literally sat her down. I took her out to dinner and, you know, sat her down and just let her know this is the deal. And it was interesting because she chuckled and, you know, she was, you know, one of the most understanding, free-spirited, you know, people to give the response that she did, which was, you know, everybody has their own life. And, you know, I can't control what you do or, you know, whatever. And so it was a positive experience for me. Down the line, she did ask me, like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? My dad, it was a little bit hard, a little bit more of a difficult this situation for me, being that his sister is gay, and you know, I kind of heard him make some comments throughout my years, and because of that specifically, I was kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of difficult. And he ended up actually hearing it from someone else in the family that I was, and he presented it to me. He was like, you know, I heard such and such. Is this true? And I literally broke down in tears, and I was like, yes, it is true. And the reason why I didn't tell you is because I didn't think you would accept me. He was like, you know, you're my child and I love you and I'll always accept you. Yeah. And ever since then, it was, you know, perfect. So.
Awesome. Nich, how about yourself?
So I came out to my family when I was like 11, maybe. Like I knew right away I was a queer baby. And it was a difficult process, like, you know, especially in the Black African American community. It's, you know, you're too young to even think about these things. But I knew who I was at that time as a young person. And I kind of had two coming outs, like, you know, as like my sexual orientation, like, and also being transgender, which was, I think, the most difficult for my family to learn to grasp with, and to kindle that relationship again, and to rekindle that relationship again. It was most hard on my mother. She had a lot of expectations on, like, this is my child. I want to see this child walk down an aisle one day, and I was like, I wanted to feel bad for so long, but I was like, I gotta do me, because if I don't do me, I'm not gonna be here. Because a lot of LGBT people aren't here today because they can't be out and can't be happy being their authentic self. And trans people, especially Black trans people. So I had to take the leap and be like, yo, you come first, Nick. But it was hard, especially in college. It was hard. But I gotta say, like, I met Key in my young years. When I was 17, and so when you see like older and Black women who are also like in the LGBT community, like, that does something for a young person. That says like you got people out here like you, and you're still gonna be alive to do what you need to do in this world. And that's why I also appreciate Key and Nat as my family, because like, and our energies are so different, but we're always family, and we accept each other and love each other. And that's a part of the LGBTQ community too, because we got that connection that I think is just so unique. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Has anyone faced discrimination or prejudice? Please share an experience.
I don't believe I have. Only, no, I don't believe I have.
I really haven't per se. On social media, sometimes I come across, like, for instance, the other day I came across one of my friends who I've known for quite some time, and he made a post. He recently transitioned to, I think it became Muslim or something of that nature, and he made a post, and he stated that he's so sick and tired of seeing homosexuals on television, and he was like, you guys be careful. Netflix is showing all these shows with homosexual relationships and things of that nature, and he's like, I'm sick of it. And I was like, well, okay, as you're coming through my feed, dear friend, you know what I mean?
Oh, did he automatically get the block?
No, I literally had to, let him know like how I felt, and he was like, it's nothing personal against you, Key, da da da. And I just kind of left it at that.
Well, let's talk about that. If is it nothing personal against you because of the close relationship? How does someone differentiate between?
And I think that's what it is. I think that's what it was for him.
Okay.
Because we've hung out, he's known, you know what I mean, all these years. But I don't know.
Okay. So now you said no, Nick.
I'm just like, it's just so crazy how they just, I don't know, we're human, we're people. Like, just because we like the same sex, like, what's the big issue? I don't get it. Like, I don't know.
I just think it's the unknown, and people fear what they don't know.
Right.
Yeah. So I've heard a lot of stories about dating mishaps within this community, specifically between lesbians, right? What are some challenges, or women who like women? What are some challenges dealing with dating and relationships in the community?
I don't have any challenges, man, because when you date a woman, excuse me. Go ahead. It's so
long. You said you've heard some stories, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, what kinds of stories?
Right.
Kind of like, just, it's very intense. Dealing with two females, it moves rather quickly.
Oh, the U-Haul lesbian.
It's just like a kind of almost like a soap opera, so to speak.
It's true.
I can't agree with that.
What? Oh, you can't agree with what she's saying. I think that there's definitely a lot of that. I think it's more so because women are in tune with women. We know what women want because we are a woman ourselves. And so because of that, it tends to go a lot quicker. I mean, as you get older, you realize exactly like the value in a relationship and, the steps that you have to take in order to grow with a person. But when you're, sort of young and sort of learning and things of that nature, it's more so because you're sort of experiencing things for the first time. And, this woman knows exactly what it is that you want because she's a woman herself. And so you guys click and, you almost feel like you're best friends. And, at the same time, you can be lovers. And then, boom, you realize that you didn't build on it, and you didn't actually get to know the person. And then it all just crashes.
you have to be friends first. You literally can't just jump into something with a woman. You literally have to be friends first. I feel like that foundation will let a relationship last for forever. Be honest with you. You have
It's
to
the same as in a
know.
heterosexual relationship. It's the same thing.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Any relationship, like what
Correct.
we're talking about right now. You know, I just think that, you know, we have this particular experience as like LGBTQ folk, and like when we find that like personally, like, oh, you get me, because you know everybody else don't get me. Like it's like, okay, bing bang,
Right.
like that validation,
Mhm.
Yeah, I
right?
agree.
That's what happens. I don't think it's and I think I can talk to this when we're talking like about women, because like I was socialized as a woman growing up, you know, and this was about a part of my past. So like that, those things are just true. Like when you find people who have similar experiences, like
You tend to jump just all in, no matter the sex. You just, you know, no
You
relationship.
jump all in.
Yeah.
Okay. So this question actually came from social media, where I forget which site, but I recently aired a show on sexual liberation, right? And in there, we talked about sex toys, which has gained popularity in the recent years, but have always been known to be regular accessories of use in the LGBTQ plus community. Um, so is that true? Because this came from another lesbian, and they wanted you to name your favorite toy you recommend others you had one.
Okay.
It's so crazy because within my sexual experience, I don't really, we don't really use toys. I mean, if we do, it's probably once every 6 months, to be honest with you.
On the
So I'm not technically into the toy thing.
And I agree. You know, I'm not into the toy thing either. Um, you know, yes, I do own a toy, literally
Correct.
a toy. But it's not something that, you know, I'm not an avid user of a
Mm-hmm.
toy or toys. Um, some people, you know, depend on that. For instance, the strap on, if we want to get, you know, more definitive, you know, in you know, female relationships, that's one of the things that they tend to use the most, I would say, is the strap on. And, you
Mm-hmm.
know, not every relationship or not every female relationship uses the strap on, you know, and personally, my personal experience, I don't, it's not something that I turn to, you know. It's not, I'm a lesbian for a reason, you know. I like women for a reason, you know. I don't
Fact.
need things to kind of like, yeah, it's cool to kind of accentuate, you know, your sex life and things of that nature, but for me it's not necessary.
Facts.
So
That's a conversation we've had of using strap-ons. We was trying to understand, if you are with women because you like the anatomy, whatever the case may be, how does that then come into? But then I also guess it's just like wanting to introduce something into the relationship.
gotcha.
So the culture, right? We know it's powerful, and y'all got some pull in these streets. How do you think the culture varies from region to region within the United States? So, like for instance, Pride is celebrated differently from city to city, or members of the community in San Fran differ from those, the culture different from those in Atlanta. How do you see it differ?
I think it's universal, no matter where you go or where you are. I think the key differentiators with that tends to be the city. That's just really what it boils down to. You know, for instance, I'm originally from Boston, and I can tell you right now, the Boston community doesn't really have a whole lot of, you know, maybe you have some, you know, gay bars and things of that nature here and there. You know, maybe you have a club or two, but there's, you know, no major spot like, yo, I'm going to Ra on Thursday night. That's the spot. You know, there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing like that. It's a smaller city. Whereas you have bigger cities like San Fran and New York, you know, people are excited to go to New York Pride. People are excited to go to DC Pride. People are excited to
Miami.
go to Atlanta Pride.
Sweet
You know,
heat. Sweet
yeah,
heat.
Sweet Heat is one of the standards for Miami. Sweet Heat and there's another one I can't think of the name. But because they're major cities, they're bigger. People tend to like to go where there's a whole lot of women or a whole lot of men all at one time.
Okay.
I think that's what it is.
Okay. Y'all pretty much agree.
Facts. 100.
Okay.
Like
I'm gonna go ahead.
I'm sorry, Boston is whack. He was right. Boston's whack. None. And the thing is, like, when they do have something, it's just for white gay men. And I'm like, where
exactly.
The rest of the LGBT community, especially black folks, people of color.
Exactly. But even in the community that we live in right now, we live in a community which is I would consider a gay community. A lot of homosexual men. And when they have Pride in Wilton Manors, it's majority for the guys. It's not, I wouldn't say it's for the lesbians. So Sweet Heat, Miami is
for girls, for women.
It's a movie, honestly. So enjoyable. Okay. So it just really depends where you are,
Okay. Let's lighten it up a little bit, right? So slang in your community often influences pop culture. What are some terms you use amongst your friends that are unique to the culture? And let me see if I can guess what they are.
I don't know that there's anything outside of what do you call it? The terms. Nick, can you think of anything?
Like words that we use within our culture?
Mm-hmm. So like you mentioned U-Haul.
Oh, it's probably like the only thing I can think of that. That's like a traditional one. Like you've heard that for eons.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go through some that I found, and then let me see. You tell me what they mean.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Pillow princess.
A pillow princess is basically a female who lies down in the bedroom. They lie down on the pillow and they just like to receive pleasure. They don't do anything else.
And that's are they classified as a lesbian still?
No, I mean, I don't know, but that is what that is. Like,
okay. I had U-Haul lesbian on my list, but you've already touched upon that. 100-footer.
Haven't heard that one.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one either.
Want to take a guess?
Is it talking about cock at all?
Penis, long penis.
I didn't even think about that. No, it was an obviously gay or lesbian person that's visible from 100 feet away.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Gaydar, maybe?
Gaydar?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I mean,
Daikon.
Daikon?
You teaching me some stuff.
Facts.
Okay, well, a celebrity woman who is seen as an icon by lesbians, but may or may not be a lesbian herself. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
Egg.
What is it?
Yep, like EGG.
Ah, you got me.
Well, you got me.
Your card. A transgender person who hasn't realized they're trans yet. Okay, the last one is switch or verse.
Go ahead, Keanna. Handle that one.
She got me. I'm hung up. I don't know.
Okay, a person who enjoys both topping and bottoming or being dominant and submissive.
Oh, you said switch or verse. Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't act like you know now. Like you can't come across.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. So, what are some stereotypes associated with the community that you hate? Let's talk about those.
One of the stereotypes that I dislike is that you know, if you are a stud, which there are, of course, are probably a million definitions to the term stud.
What is a stud?
Oh, brother, here we go.
Look.
Right.
All right, I'm done.
Please define that.
Go ahead. No.
I mean, a stud really is basically to me, right? Personally, my personal opinion, a stud is a female that likes to dress in male clothes.
So that would personally be me. I'm not a stud. I'm Nat. I'm a tomboy. What's the difference between a stud and a tomboy?
A stud is a little bit. Go ahead, Nate.
A tomboy, I feel like, isn't regarding sexuality. It's just a woman who likes to dress masculinely. But stud is a masculine woman who likes other women.
Correct.
I mean, I don't agree, but
you're also no. You're also
no
label.
Yeah.
You get it.
Wouldn't agree. Yeah.
So sorry. What was the question again? Oh, okay. So
stereotype that you hate. It's your time so you can tell us to stop calling it and all these things. What are the stereotypes that you hate?
So I was gonna say that traditionally I feel like I've heard that women who are classified as studs don't like to do anything in the bed, or they don't like to receive in the bedroom.
Is that a stud or is that a butch?
And that's the thing. I mean, it depends. Some people would say that it could be potentially stud because you have women who are studs who are very, very masculine, right?
Right.
And they don't. And it's the same with butch. I mean, but the thing is like with butches, the term butch was the first term that was created, so to speak, when, our lifestyle was sort of being developed. So I feel like the term butch it's built, personally, I feel like it's built for individuals who were like back during that time. It's kind of like an old word, you know what I mean?
School,
like it's,
old school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like for me, like for instance, like I always say, I'm a woman that loves woman. A lot of people look at me and be like, "Oh, she might not want to be touched. Oh, this and that." No, I'm a woman first. Okay, and within my sexual experience, I want you to touch everything. Don't not touch everything. Definitely. So, a lot of people will think, "Oh, that's why I say I can't categorize myself as this or that because I'm just a woman that loves women. I love to be felt. I love to be touched. I love to be rubbed on. I love caressing. I love all of that. Just because I dress this way doesn't categorize me,
I'm down with that. Stereotypes about in the LGBT community. That's the question.
Yep, stereotypes associated with the community. Yeah.
Well, for one, since we're gay, we're all gay for everyone. Don't be scared because we in the same bathroom as you, or either. Especially as trans people, like we just here being humans. Our sexual orientation has nothing to do with us being human. I think also like it's just so common. I mean, especially for like the society to like look at trans people and like you just not see them for who they are. And I mean, like, it's not a stereotype, but stereotypes are like a part of generalizations and discrimination. Like, they're not all true, and like I just think the stereotype of trans people not knowing who they are, and that's where like it gets dangerous for us because you're not validating who we are when we say who we are. And just like in like any other situation, like in the LGBT community, we're not validating who we say we are. So it's just, and it makes it just hard. So I think that those are just 2.2 stereotypes that just really hurt my nerves, grinds my gears.
Okay, so let's talk about family, right, and same-sex parenting. How do you feel about that? Do you want a family? What barriers do you think you'd face in achieving that, if any?
Jump in, Nick.
Well, for me, I mean, just I want a family real bad. I want to be a papa. I think one, health insurance is a really big part of it. Being trans, like making that decision, like what do I want to do with my body and what's going to make me happy. But at the end of the day, like, is it really important to have someone that looks like you, or just have someone that I can call, Nich Jr. or little McCaskill, whoever you are, And also, I feel like I would like to adopt one day. And what that potentially looks like being trans and being queer at the same time. Like the adoption system's not cool. Like it's not easy for us if we want to get through like it is for straight people. So for sure want to have a family one day, and I want a partner one day. I think that's being trans and having a partner. Like that's a hard thing to swallow. But I eventually want to have that, and I think it's possible. So.
It is possible, most definitely. Personally, I've never had that maternal feeling to want a child. It's just me. I never really wanted kids. I never, my God, everybody, graduating high school, that's the first thing they did. They were like, forget college, I want kids, I want kids, I want family. No, or I want to get married, no. For me, I had another agenda. That my agenda was college, but I just never had that. And so, yeah, have I thought about it? Yes, I have. And, have I thought about going the route of maybe artificial insemination or adopting? Yes, I have. But at the end of the day, honestly, I think for me, what it all boils down to is the world. And I just feel like I don't want to, one, either bring a child into this world being that the world is the way that it is.
It is.
Or if I do, have a child, it would be by way of adoption, a child that's already here and just basically giving them a life. I just know what life all entails and the separation and the things that we all have to go through. And I just don't want to feel like I'm going to bring a child into this world and just have them go through that. And that's just really what it is for me.
I agree with Keanna. I love kids. She will tell you, I love them to death. Like they're my hearts, they're my babies. Every time you see Nat, you see a child with Nat. But I used to want kids, but nowadays I don't because of exactly what she said. The way the world is right now, I'd rather adopt a child that's already here and take care of that child and grow that child. For us to bring a child into this world, I'm not on it as much as I used to. I'm not. This world is just, I don't want my child to endure at the end of the day, the child that I adopt, I will love, I will adore, and I wouldn't want her or him to endure the things of this world, but the child is already here. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, if the child is already here, can't take that back. But for me to bring a child or us to bring a child into this world, no.
That's a good way to look at it. So we come to the last call where we're going to answer some viewer questions, and we have two that I see. Thank you for all the comments. We are able to read them. The guests can go back and answer the ones we don't get to. The two we're going to choose, we're going to start with Kayla Rochelle. I'm going to put it right here on the screen, and you'll be able to see it.
I'm going to go ahead and answer that. Yes, I do. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, I do. Yes. Definitely. Honestly, I was probably going to say 4 or maybe 5 when I realized that I was gay. I had definitely, I was molested when I was younger by a girl, and I believe that has a lot to do with how I am today. And probably at the age of 4 or 5, I had a strong inclination to women, and it's always been that way. So it doesn't matter the age. You can know when you're 2, when you're 3.
I agree.
And Nich, I believe you said you came out when you were 11, right? That's when you notified.
Yeah, I told my parents when I was 11. But even you can look it up. Like it's written in psychology journals. Like young children know their gender and they know their sexual orientation by a certain age, and it's younger than what most parents think it actually is. It's true. So true. And the thing is, when they say mommy, daddy, parent, guardian, hey, I'm this, you got to be on board because you want your kid to be able to keep going. And that's what Wade's son, Wade is doing. And And I think that's a great example of what you should be doing as a heterosexual parent, you know? So.
And you have to support your kids. You have to know that, you have to let your kids know that you love them no matter how they are, because at the end of the day, they're still human. This is just, it's not a choice. It's really not. Everybody thinks it's a choice. It's really not a choice. It's just something that you was born into, and you have to love your child regardless of how they are, And a lot of people don't understand that. They turn against their children because they're gay. I don't get that. It really hurts. It hurts my heart. It really does.
Also, I just want to, real quick, correction. Wade has a daughter who's trans. She's a she. But I just want to let you know that.
Okay.
Definitely.
Our final question I have one final question. So this will be the second to final question from Carrie and Park. Why do people think it's necessary to hide their sexuality with the opposite sex? So this must be the down low thing. I didn't think that was really a thing still.
I think what it just boils down to like this community just recently started this 4 years
ago.
Yeah, come on in. Yeah, apparently she's out. Sorry guys, she's joining me. So I think what it all boils down to is people, this community is just now kind of coming into its development, there's lots of things that's happened, but it kind of started, of course it started way, I believe, this culture started way back in the day, way, but I'm talking as far as like development, the flag, acceptance, things of that nature. So I think people are still trying to accept it. And that's just really what it boils down to. Why do people think it's necessary to hide their sexuality with the opposite sex? Because it's still something that people are still learning to accept.
Correct.
I'm just gonna say it ain't safe. It ain't safe. It ain't safe. It ain't safe.
Okay. And my last question. Go ahead. Okay, no, it's not safe. You got more to say on that? Go ahead.
No. Go for the last question.
Okay. How can allies be more supportive? Aside from us just saying we support equal rights, go community, what could we actually be doing?
There's so many things that are in the community that you can be actively involved in. Excuse me, Island Girl Entertainment is actually creating a group for young children I would say, people who are under the age of 21, who are not confident in their sexuality, who are, who haven't come out to their friends or their families. And it's going to basically be a support group for those individuals. And we are going to be meeting, every so often so that these individuals can come together and we can help build, help them develop certain skills so that they can be comfortable within themselves. So it's things like that. If you can, if you're, you can be involved in things like that, participate. And there's certain events that go on. For instance, in Pride, there's vendors. You can come out and, support us that way, just as an example.
Okay.
For me, I'll definitely say, you got to show allyship. For one, it's an action. You just don't say it. I'm just going to be a cookie, like having things like this, like a panel with queer people to voice their who they are. It lets the world know more information. Do your homework. Go digging for the questions you ask. Use the right pronouns with trans people.
Correct. I'm big on that. Yeah, I'm big on that. Yeah.
And I know the pronoun they is hard, but just try.
Just try. Yeah. I mean, and when I'm speaking about, Nich, for instance, I may, like, for instance, I mentioned Nich to my mom, and my mom would say, yeah, she came over our house one time. And I'm like, Ma, just as a reminder, she is now a he. So you have to make sure that you're careful. with those words and the way that you the way that you speak. So
and I think
agree.
At the end of the day, we're all coming from a place of learning.
Yeah, definitely.
Correct.
But as long as you try, that's all that matters.
Yeah, try. Mm-hmm.
Well, I really appreciate you joining me and having this conversation. I definitely know you've given great information and it was informative for myself. I've learned some things. Are there any final thoughts you want to leave with the audience?
Just be here, be you all the time. That's all you can do.
Yeah, I agree. Support those individuals who are around you that may be struggling with their identities and confidence and coming out of the closet. I do see in the comments, Sophia asks, what are the struggles, if anything, of being Black and of the LGBT community? But I know that's a whole nother topic, but it's definitely something that I want to touch on.
Go ahead, you can touch on that.
I think being Black and gay. Go ahead. I think it's two. It's two things. It's you're Black and you're gay. So. I think it's the same though. If you think about it, it stems back to like just the same as racism. It's the same thing. You have people who are out there who just like people who are out there that are Black, and people out there that are in other cultures or other races that come at you and that ask certain things. And as far as the community itself, they have no idea of the things that we have to encounter as gay individuals. But I think ultimately it's really the same thing. You put two things together. It's just like racism. I don't know if there's any major struggles, but that's my response. Go ahead, Nick.
I'd like to touch on that. As a Black community, we need to stick fast with each other, y'all, because LGBT problems, Black LGBT problems, are Black problems in general. And I think that's one thing we have a struggle with, because we got Christians saying that we aren't supposed to be here, but when we think about it, Christianity wasn't our religion to begin with. It was just something that came over here to enslave us, and we let it seep into our community, and therefore all these labels becomes dividers, and that's not what it's supposed to be.
Right.
That's what Black resilience and excellence is about. So I think, if we're talking about what are the struggles in the LGBT community, and being Black, we need to talk about how we're going to end heterosexism and transphobia in the Black community, because we all a community at the end of the day.
I agree.
Thanks, Sophia.
That wraps up our show. Thank you to my guests. Thank you to the audience. Continue to put your questions in the comment sections. They can go back and then they can connect and answer them there. Don't forget to follow, like, and share so that you'll be notified when a new episode airs. And to my guests, again, thank you so much for being candid, for being open, and I appreciate you sharing your time and your experience with me.
Thank you for having us, Miss B.Brown. We appreciate you.
Definitely.
All right. Bye.
Good night. Bye-bye. Thank you.